Welcome back to the Deep Dig Sports Pod. I'm your host, Drew, with my other host over there.
What's up? It's D.
Now, I don't know about, I know you haven't seen it yet, but I just saw the new Black Panther movie last night. No spoilers, but I was crying, man. I cried at the end. I cried in the very beginning. 1 minute in, I texted you. I was like, I'm devastated.
I need to see it. I'm actually gonna go see it tomorrow. So don't give me spoilers, but like, what's your honest rating of Black Panther?
I'll give it an 8, but only because I don't want no spoiler. There was like a part at the end where I was like I can't see how this character got to there so quickly. But I think if I rewatch and like really pick up all the nuance and like what they were really feeling in that moment, it'll be more of a 9-10-ish. But it's a beautiful movie. The action is fucking great. One of the best action like fight scenes in Marvel. Um Not a scene in particular, but the fighting is dope. And yeah, I think it does justice to the passing of Chadwick Boseman, man.
I know. Actually, so I hit you up, and Cinema Therapy actually did their villain therapy with Killmonger, and I was just like, dude, watching it, how are they going to be able to top the first movie? Like, I know like it's going to try, but man, it was such a great movie, especially with such a deep character like Killmonger. And with that, the passing of Chadwick Boseman, I have to watch it. I know I have to watch Black Panther too, but I'm like, how are they going to top this first one? You know?
I I don't know if they top it, but it's equal, like at least. It might top it. Like I'm telling you, the action in it, and then there's like with the like Atlantean character, like Namor's family, like there is some like feel of like horror to them. And I
Mhm.
feel like they really mix in a lot of cool stuff like that. And yeah, the movie, I think it's a great movie. I want to go see it again ASAP. When I go visit next week, we all got to go watch it.
All right, I'm down.
But highly recommend anyone listening watch that cinema therapy, the Killmonger episode before you go in, because his like story, like basically Killmonger's like arc, highly reflects in this movie.
Oh,
I'll just give that like his ideals and everything. I'm like, dude, going in fresh off of hearing Killmonger speak, like it heavily is influencing this movie. So
all right.
I'll
Have
just
to
give
check it
that.
out.
Um, but last night I was feeling down after listen or watching that movie because Chadwick Boseman, rest in peace. So figure we could start this pod with a little pick me up. I know you've seen this going around trending where you call this number and there are kindergarten through sixth grade kids will give you kind of a pep talk. So thinking we could just start with a little, pick me up right now.
Let's do it. Second half of the season starts now. Let's get this pick me up. Let's go.
Welcome to Pep Talk, a public art project by Westside School. Mad, frustrated, or nervous, press 1. If you need words of encouragement and life advice, press 2. If you need a pep talk from kindergartners, press 3.
All right, we're gonna do
For
2.
bonus pep talks, be great.
Just lower it a little bit.
Dude, live it up. Be you. I trust that you can make things right. Be happy. Try it again. Believe in yourself. You're feeling up high and unbalanced. Think of groundhog. It's okay to be different. Always stay together. Don't give up, power through. We all really like you. Never back down, never give up. The world is a better place with you in it. Everyone is capable of doing anything. You just have to let yourself shine. Bro, you're looking great. Be nice.
All right, I'm gonna cut him off there. I appreciate Never Back Down, kid. I'm pretty sure he just watched Never Back Down, and I think that kid's gonna be a menace on the mat.
That was I really enjoyed that. And again, I know the holidays are coming up, and I know that's like it is a tough time for some people. If you do need a pick me up, we'll go ahead and leave that number in the description of this video and in the podcast. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. I really liked it. Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, really great work from the kids. The number, really quick, 707-873 7862. Go and call those for, a little pick me up from the kids. They are hilarious, man.
Yeah.
But we got some 49ers to talk about. Let's get into that.
Yep. It's the second half of the season, brother.
Someone who
Second half.
needs a pick me up after another trying time in their life, Jason Verrett. Blew his Achilles out at practice, non-contact injury. What does this mean? I mean, outside of what this means for him, because the guy is always having season-ending injuries. I think his career would have been so much different without those. But for the team, what does this mean going forward?
Yeah, I mean, I think so first off, I think when I heard the news, it was like minutes after it was tweeted out, and I was like, dude, you immediately usually with team injuries, you're like, oh, dude, who's going to step up? I really didn't even think about the team at first because I always thought of Jason Verrett as a nice to have, not a must have player. And so I just immediately felt for him specifically. I think he's one of the only guys that blew out both knees and both Achilles tendons. So both his legs, boo, boo, boo. You know what I mean? And that's tough, dude. I don't know if he's going to end up bouncing back. He's so young too. I think he's only going to be 30. So it's really tough to see as far as what it means for the 49ers moving forward. I think they're going to push out Diamador Lenore to the outside, and I think we're going to see Sam Womack play the slot. And I would hope to see Jimmy Ward go back to the safety spot, considering that they had, Jimmy Ward kick to the nickel. I would think he's going to be, especially with that hand cast. I didn't like him sitting in the nickel spot. So I would like to see him go back to the safety. Let's put in Womack. We know Womack can put in work, and he's pretty much a natural at that position. Let's see what Diamador Lenore can do on the outside. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's tough, but at the same time, it comes at a time where we're getting healthy. So we do have a lot of our guys back in. And what I always did like about the 49ers secondary is a lot of these guys are flexible. As I know everyone's complaining about Jimmy Ward dropping in the nickel, but this is a guy that he's done that in the past, and he's done good at that in the past. Before he became our full-fledged starter at safety, he was moving around. So I don't really mind him doing that, and then kick out Diamador Lenore. He's looked great. And if Mooney Ward could just stay healthy, we're solid on that end. And I don't mind Jimmy Ward playing nickel if it means Tashawn Gibson stays at safety, because that guy is playing at a Pro Bowl level in that position. So yeah, it sucks. I was really looking forward to having Verrett on one side, Ward on the other. But at the end of the day, it is someone we weren't really counting on being there. It was more of well, we'll see where we can fit him in because he's really good when he's healthy, but it's tough. I'd like to see us maybe pick up someone else in free agency just to have another body, because right now we have I believe his name Kadar Holman. And he did not look good in preseason to me. So I think he's one of the guys that got beat by the guy on the Packers.
Oh, Romeo Dobbs.
Yeah, I think he got dusted by him, but yeah, I don't think it's going to be too much of a devastating injury, just because it hurts to put Verrett in that category, but you can't really rely on him ever to be there. And it was a roll of dice bringing him back in the first place. But I mean, maybe I've seen people talking about maybe Verrett could get into coaching, because I guess he helped E-Man really get along to where he's at now. But yeah, I think he has a spot in the organization, but not as a player anymore, man. If your body's just giving out, he can't sustain it.
Yeah, I mean, how many times can you go through a traumatic injury and bounce back? I think that's why we seen Andrew Luck bounce out, because it is if you're spending more time rehabbing than actually playing the game, at what point is it, give and you take, and you're just giving and giving and giving, and you're not getting that reward of being able to play in the games. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and as far as the other injuries on the 49ers, everyone basically is coming back. Debo's good to go. Bosa said that he had a couple, nicks and bruises where he's better now. Armstead, I guess they came out and said that he had like a hairline fracture. Still not sure on him. Kinlaw probably not going to come back anytime soon. But everyone else, Jimmy Ward has the cast off his hand, so we're getting as healthy as we could probably be right now.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting to see. Like when you look at the list of everyone who's coming back, it just like makes you lick your chops and like, oh, let's go, baby. Like this team has it. So me and you talked about it last week, and I was like, damn, I would really like to keep the momentum going. And now after seeing like all of the people coming back from injury, this bye week kind of was at the perfect time. I would have again liked to see them have smashed the Chargers last week, but we can go ahead and load up and do it this week, you know?
Big Elijah Mitchell game.
I don't know. I think that like I know they're gonna like slowly work him back into the mix because Christian McCaffrey is just a dog, dude. But I really like to see that tandem. Like I'm looking forward to seeing that two down, like that two back system rolling. Especially with how versatile, you know, Debo is, to see him in the mix, get some wide receiver screens, to have Christian McCaffrey roll out. Like, what if they do a motion where Elijah Mitchell is like at a receiver, he swings in, Christian McCaffrey goes out, lines up at wideout, Debo comes in and gets in that spot. Like that's gonna be crazy. It's gonna the amount of like creativity you have with these players now, it opens up the playbook. And I think what I was talking about before is this is what Kyle Shanahan gets up for. This is going to get his juices going. I think we're going to see a lot of creativity moving forward.
As long as it leads to touchdowns, man, that's all that matters. And having all those pieces is going to be really interesting to see, because I think defenses might start to forget about Ayuk. And that's where you get those, that McCaffrey throwing a touchdown to Ayuk. Like he I think is going to be the swing player of like, if he makes a player or two a game, this offense is booming.
Yeah, I think Ayuk is like slowly turning into our best wide receiver. And not to say that, like, I think because Debo isn't like a traditional wide receiver, he is a weapon X, he is an offensive playmaker. He's not necessarily the best wide receiver, but he makes the most plays, if that makes sense. Like, but I think becoming a true wide receiver, Brandon Ayuk is really, really shaping up, and I'm liking what I'm seeing out of Ayuk.
Yeah, and one thing I was seeing, supposedly OBJ is down to either Dallas or San Francisco of where he's going to play. And I saw people on Twitter saying they'd prefer Jawan Jennings over OBJ. Just really quick, what are your thoughts on that choice?
I would say it depends. If OBJ still has some speed, that's a dangerous combination to get, like, Brandon Ayuk on one side, OBJ in the slot on the other side with Debo Samuel. That's crazy, dude. I think Jawan Jennings kind of does fit a little bit more as far as what Jimmy Garoppolo has been doing in the past. And we know that he has that chemistry with him, but they are throwing it down the field a little bit more, and it does just open up the game. And I think it's one of those things where it's, you add a weapon and you're also taking it away from the Cowboys, who you might see down the line. Like, I would much rather do that.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's a tough call because we love Jawan Jennings.
Yeah, I'm
He's
a
a good
big
player.
Jawan Jennings guy.
But it really is like, what does OBJ have left in the tank if he's looking amazing? Like, I wouldn't mind adding another weapon for Jimmy to just dump the ball to and see if he can make a play happen. Because OBJ, once he hit that like his playoff run last year, like the guy was looking great. He was really, maybe not the OBJ of old, but he had some stuff.
He was taking over.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was looking good, dude.
And I had a lot of money on him being Super Bowl MVP. Injury didn't happen. I think he was for sure going to be Super Bowl MVP.
I think so. He was looking like it. And I think if you're getting that OBJ, I think because he is now ring chasing,
Yeah.
but he's not really ring chasing. He said he wants a home. I think the 49ers would be the best fit for him specifically. I think he would take less money to go to the 49ers because they are geared up for not just the Super Bowl run this year, but moving forward into years to come. I think that's, where this team is headed. And yeah, this kind of lines up. It's a big name franchise. We're on the West Coast. It's that he can get into so much outside of football with it. I think it lines up perfectly for what he's looking for. So I think he would take less money to come here rather than the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what he chooses. Just want to say, if you're not following us on Twitter, go ahead and follow us at the Deep Dig Pod, and then go ahead and subscribe and like this channel on YouTube, or follow us on whatever audio you're listening to. Stay up to date on what we're putting out every week.
Yes, we are so close to 100 subs on YouTube. We just need like 4 more. Come on, guys, let's go.
Yeah.
Hit that sub button. Let's do it.
You, whoever's listening, be that 4. But yeah, we appreciate it, guys. When we love interacting with you on Twitter, we actually just ran a Twitter poll. If Jimmy G leads 49ers to the playoffs and Trey Lance is healthy, who would you want to start? And you guys on Twitter said 56% you would want Jimmy G to start. 44% would want Trey Lance to start. And I just want to give a couple quick shout outs. Our guy, 49er dude on Twitter, said, for sure, Jimmy, you can't ask Trey to do that. It's not fair to him or Jimmy. Just have him prepare in case of a Jimmy G injury and get ready for next season. And then our boy BT, he was watching the Thursday night game, and I feel bad that he was watching it because it was terrible. He said, how many teams in the NFL currently wish they traded for Jimmy G in offseason now? And I think that number is surprisingly high.
Yeah, definitely. And so appreciate you guys rocking with us. But I'm going to go ahead and say it. 44% of you are wrong. Why would we make Trey Lance like out to be in that situation? Then it does a disservice to him, especially if Jimmy Garoppolo is healthy. We roll with Jimmy Garoppolo. I think where last year it got a little convoluted was Jimmy was hurt. Trey went into that Texans games and it was a must-win game. And I felt like if Jimmy, with the shoulder injury, with the thumb injury, if it was that serious to where he had to sit out with the Texans and he had to move forward and like, hey, I'm just injured. All right, well, that's a different story. But if Jimmy's healthy, we have to roll with Jimmy Garoppolo. That's like, it's his team, it's his playoff run. You got to run it. You know what I mean? There's no use in putting in Trey Lance into that situation in a must-win like playoff run, where this team is a veteran team that wants to win now, and everyone is feeling like this is like the way it's headed. Why would you drop him into that situation? It doesn't do him any good.
I think if Trey Lance were healthy like week 17, week 18, and you think we should start him in the playoffs, I think you're pretty delusional, respectfully, if I could say it respectfully. That's such a tall task to ask of a young guy who, I mean, we've been hearing it all season where people were like, oh, Trey Lance is a bust. And then everyone's argument is, well, he's only played like 4 or 5 games. Okay, he's only played 4 or 5 games. That's your argument. And you want him to start in the playoffs, like with no regular season experience. Like, come on. Like, what is he going to do in the playoffs? He couldn't even with Kyle Shanahan. And like, okay, it could be on Shanahan as well. But in the regular season, they couldn't even run a fully functioning offense. So for him to come back after Jimmy, say, wins 10 games, 11 games, you want him to take a seat and Trey Lance just go out there and wing it? I don't know, man. I don't see why we would do that. It would be different if, say, Trey played like half the season and we were like 6 wins with him, or like we were 500. And then you kind of be like, okay, well, he has some experience under his belt. You know, Jimmy's played okay, but like we got to give
his team to take over.
Yeah,
let's do it. But it's not the case.
It's completely different from like the Kaepernick, Alex Smith situation, because in that season, Kaepernick was the healthy one as the backup, and Alex Smith got hurt, and then he came in, was electrifying, and so we rolled with him.
Yeah.
In this situation, it's the injured guy that's going to come in, and all of a sudden take over for a guy that's playing some of the best ball of his career so far. Like, we don't know what's going to happen the rest of the season, but I think it's even fair to say if Jimmy struggles the rest of the season, we might not even make playoffs because everyone is kind of around this middle of the pack, win wise. So I don't know. I don't see why you would play Trey. I don't see it.
Unless Jimmy goes down and you don't feel confident with Brock Purdy and Trey is 100% healthy, then you roll out Trey. You know what I mean? But at no point you're pulling out a healthy Jimmy Garoppolo. Not with this team, not with this year. I was telling you before we hit record, like, it feels like snapshot right now. Like, we were feeling it before the season, like, and telling each other, hey, this is going to be a special year. And taking a look at like all the talent, the Christian McCaffrey trade, what we're looking to do, the rest of the schedule is not that hard. I think it's very easy to tell yourself this is going to be another special year with a deep run with this Kyle Shanahan 49ers team. And to just like kind of uproot that and throw in Trey into that situation, it feels like a disservice to him. And I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, it goes against everything that like Trey Lance backers have been arguing for Trey Lance of like he needs more time, like we need experience. So like this is a guy that needs to play on the field and get experience before he's good. Let's throw him in the playoffs. Like, no, he's gonna get shredded. And even if he does, on the strength of our roster, win a game or two, like to rely on this kid to win a Super Bowl over Jimmy, who's been there. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not a fan of Jimmy G, but in this circumstance, I think he's better than Trey Lance right now. And even you said it before a couple weeks ago when we were talking about it. Like Trey didn't beat out Jimmy in training camp. This wasn't a quarterback battle. If it was a quarterback battle, Jimmy might have beat Trey Lance and won the starting job. But it was this weird situation where, they didn't want them to compete with each other, but they still wanted Jimmy around. So even if he was healthy, Kyle wouldn't want him as the guy.
And you can't have it both ways. You can't have a quarterback that is NFL proven like Jimmy Garoppolo on the roster and then be like, all right, we're going to hand the keys over to Trey. It doesn't work. Look at Justin Fields. Justin Fields sucked. He was pretty ass like when he played, but they rolled with him and they let it ride out. And now he's improved. But that was because they didn't have a good quarterback, sitting there in the wings. If they did have a good quarterback and Justin Fields looked ass like he did, they would have pulled Justin Fields and be like, hey, you know what? This guy's more NFL, like he's ready now. Let's go ahead and do this. And Justin, you can sit and throw off to the side and do whatever. But that's not what makes quarterbacks good. What makes quarterbacks good is game time. And that's why Justin Fields is, much better right now because he has that game time. And everyone's argument, oh, well, you can't say Justin Fields is better than Trey Lance. Trey Lance only has like 3 games. It's okay. Well, that's for a reason. 1, he got hurt. And 2, Kyle didn't feel good enough about putting him in last year. So it kind of is what it is, dude.
I kind of hate that argument of when people say, oh, Trey Lance isn't good. And then the argument of, well, he's only played this much. And it's like, okay, this is a guy who's injured for a whole season, didn't play. Like, it's fair to say, I think right now that some people don't think Trey Lance is a good quarterback because he hasn't played. Like, that's a valid argument. It's like saying, oh, you can't say Jordan Love is bad because he hasn't played. Yeah. Like, well, he hasn't touched the field and like Rodgers hasn't been good this year. So like, what am I supposed to bait this? If he doesn't play his whole career, are we never allowed to say that they're not a good quarterback?
Matt Flynn's still a good quarterback.
Yeah, Matt Flynn's still, top of the line. Pay him a couple $100 million.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe it's this gray area where the argument is, well, he hasn't played on one side, and the other side is like, yeah, he hasn't played.
Yeah. What you mean?
Yeah. So I don't know. It's this weird thing back and forth of people kind of flipping the same argument to make their point. But at the end of the day, he hasn't played. And even when he did play, he's shown flashes. Don't get me wrong. But Justin Fields now, who has been through some terrible gameplay. Everyone is singing his praises. He had a really great game, that like 60-yard run. He's doing stuff that we would hope Trey Lance could do someday. And
Yeah.
it brings up the argument, like, what if we drafted Justin Fields?
Yeah. I mean, I thought initially when they moved up, it was going to be Justin Fields just because he was the bigger name. He was extremely athletic. And I felt like, okay, well, you're not going to get this guy, down the line. If anyone's going to, if it's going to be anybody, like, one, you're not trading up to get Mac Jones. You know what I mean? He's not the quarterback that you trade up for. So in my mind, it was, Justin Fields, then Trey Lance, then Mac Jones. And then we seen, like, just out of, I guess, disrespect, they immediately just took Justin Fields off the board. And they're like, nope, we're not doing that. And it does make you, like, wonder how Kyle Shanahan evaluates quarterback. He did not look at Pat Mahomes. He didn't look at Deshaun Watson. It just seems like, I don't know, he's kind of off at some point.
Yeah, like maybe he chooses his guy and that's it.
Yeah. I think he just wants someone who's going to stick to the script. His guys are like CJ Beathard, Nick Mullins. He likes that type of quarterback where they're going to stay in the box. Even though he said one thing, like he really, like, that's his true nature. It's like, I'm going to run the ball. I don't want someone who's not going to fuck up my offense. Like, it's going to be this guy. And where now you got a guy, like, you moved up, and I think initially he was like mouth watering over Mac Jones. And I think, like, if you put Mac Jones in this offense, it's going to be a serviceable, like, quarterback, but the limit of Mac Jones is here, and you can't give up what you gave up, which was, it ended up being Tyreek Hill, Bradley Chubb, and Jalen Waddle. That's a lot. That's a heavy load for a Mac Jones. You just can't do it. So you got to swing for the fences. I personally would have been I would have been okay with them going Justin Fields just because we know the quarterback that he was, and he played in big games. He played at Ohio State, even though everyone's like shits on Ohio State quarterbacks. Like, he's seen big games. I don't think he would have shied away, and we have seen he doesn't shy away from big competition.
Yeah, and who's to say even if we drafted Justin Fields, Kyle wouldn't have felt the same way, like scared to play him, scared to run the offense through him. And I mean, we've yet to see Kyle develop a young quarterback.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm sticking with that until we see, like, he has a sustainable starting quarterback that is his guy. And I mean, even throughout the whole season, I haven't felt great about Justin Fields. He has a couple good games now, and everyone is like mind wiped of like, yeah, he's amazing. I know our guy Kevin Lapka that we had on the show from Bears Nation Pod. He's been high on Justin this whole season. And he's been talking about on Twitter. Every week I'm seeing his tweets of breaking down, like, this is why he's good. This is why he's good. And yeah, I think Bears might have something there, especially with the trades they made and the draft picks they have coming in. So I don't know. We'll see what Justin Fields is still up in the air. More so than, or Trey Lance is more so up in the air. But yeah, we just never know in the alternate reality if we would have went with Justin Fields. What if Trey Lance was on the Bears? I don't know.
Yeah, who knows?
But to go kind of around the league, Robert Saleh and McDaniel over at the Dolphins, they've been winning a couple games. Robert Saleh just beat the Bills. And I did another Twitter poll. I don't know if I'm going to find it right now, but asking if Kyle Shanahan had the Jets roster, would he be doing better than Saleh, the same, or worse? What do you think on that?
I want to say Kyle would do better, but who knows? Like, again, it's really tough. I don't think that he would have the same effect as Robert Saleh. Like, because again, Robert Saleh is the energizer. He's the guy who, like, hey, I'm gonna boost up confidence and I'm gonna pump you up and I'm gonna send you out in the field like a rabid dog. You know what I mean? Same thing with McDaniels. McDaniels has like a very distinct way of doing things, and he has a unique personality. Do you see, like, he got caught yelling at Justin Fields, like telling him to stop it?
Yeah.
So, like, I just think they just have a different way of doing things, and I think it makes a big difference, your personality type meshing with the players that you have on your roster. So who knows?
Does it almost seem like it's more fun to play under Sala or McDaniel that I'm kind of realizing right now?
But also, like, none of their games fucking matter. Like, you know what I mean? They sucked ass for how long? So it's like, oh, we won a couple. Yo, let's go. Like, this is cool.
Well,
So
I mean, to be
I think
fair, the
it's
Jets have like 6
easier.
wins.
Yeah, but it's easier when you have a team that's been dog shit for years, because if they were to lose every game here out, they'd be like, damn, it was a good season. We won 6 games. Like, that's cool. Like, we're building something. Whereas, like, the 49ers, this is a fan base and a team where the expectations are high, and you've built a winner. So, I mean, it's just like we've seen with the Kansas City Chiefs. It's every game is this other team's Super Bowl. Like, you will have a target on your back, whereas the Dolphins and the Jets just don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
So
yeah, it'd be fun to play with like zero. Like, yeah, we can do whatever. Like, that's cool.
44% of you on Twitter said that Kyle Shanahan would do better than Saleh with that roster. 34% said it would be about the same. 22% said that he would do worse than Saleh. So interesting to see that some of the fan base thinks that Kyle would do worse with that Jets roster. I don't know. I don't know if it's a matter of style or if it's like kind of a knock against Kyle, his coaching. But it is interesting to see that his coaches from his tree are doing so well and at times better than him this season.
You know what I think it is too? I think it's because he's a coach that is very empowering. So it's like, you cultivate your skills when you, again, just like we said about, like, it's the opposite with the quarterback where he kind of holds the reins. It's like, no, I brought this guy in. He's going to do his job and he's going to do it well. And you kind of get free reign to, like, grow as a coach and develop your personality. Look at what we've seen with D'Amico Ryans. He's been awesome. And it's just like, he's growing and developing his skills. And you kind of get that, like, almost anti-Belichick, where it's like, you don't just do your job, you kind of grow and you can do a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. And all that adds up. And I think it's just a really cool incubating system for coaches to move forward and be successful with a head coaching role.
Yeah, and I think both of those guys done a really good job of like bringing in some guys to help build their culture, as
Yeah.
opposed to like the Belichick guys who kind of like force their culture onto the team. I feel like Saleh really took his time of like, I'm gonna understand you guys and we're gonna like mold this into like what I want it to be. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Shanahan's in that like really he's in the, you know, like in the comics where like Batman's like the old man, like and he's just like stuck on his ways and he's just like tired, like he's on that stage where he's like tired of it and he's just like, I just want to get this shit done. Like, let's fucking win. And I don't see that really joking around Kyle so much anymore.
You know what changes that? A Super Bowl ring.
A Super Bowl. Yeah.
Like, I think if he gets a ring, I think you'll start to see him lighten up a little bit more. And, like, look at what happened with, I think the pressure is just on him. Look at what happened with Andy Reid. All those years in Philly where he's winning, but doesn't win a Super Bowl. He goes over to Kansas City and he gets that ring. And now he's like, all right, yeah, let's just have fun. Let's let it loose. Let's go for it. I think the same thing is going to happen with Kyle Shanahan. As soon as he gets that Super Bowl ring, it's going to be a weight lifted off of his shoulder. And I think we're going to see him get to at least exhale a little bit more, because again, he's in a high pressure situation. Ever since he signed on for the 49ers, this is just a franchise that moves different. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's going to be really telling the rest of this season on, like, we've obviously been up and down on Kyle because he has shown inconsistency and we have questioned his play calling. We have questioned his offensive ability this season especially. And he doesn't really have an excuse now, like the second half of this season. like the weapons he has are like he has unlimited weapons at this point. And he has Pro Bowl level talent. He has all pro level talent on that side of the ball. The line has not been bad, as bad as we thought it would be.
Yeah.
Overall, I mean, the center position could maybe be upgraded, but the guards, they're like top 5 in every ranking you could put them in. Apparently, the tackles, McGlinchey is what he is, but he's an okay starter. And then you have obviously Pro Bowl level on the left tackle spot. So I just don't see where the excuse would be of like, why isn't Kyle Shanahan putting together, if not an elite offense, then a really good offense the rest of this season? And the defense is healthy. So, like, let's go. Let's cash this in. And if he doesn't do that, if he struggles at times and can't put up 20 points, 30 points if he has to, like, we're really going to question this guy moving, and he has to be on the hot seat next season.
Yeah, absolutely. And he should. But I'm thinking the rest of this year, we're going to be pretty good. I think that, again, the teams that we're going to be facing aren't high caliber teams. It's not like we're going against the like world beaters every single week. I think we're going to start to see him, get some cohesivity. Now all the weapons are going to be like actually on the field. So it's going to be nice. I think we're going to start to see some high level offense moving forward, and he owes it to the defense. They've saved their ass for the first part of the season. Now the second half, you need to cash in that check and you need to start producing on offense. So let's start to see that.
There should be no more games the rest of the season where we're like, no more of those what was Kyle thinking games. Like, where was his strategy? Like, why didn't he call this? Like, there should be no more of those games this season because of the talent. And Jimmy G hasn't been throwing interceptions. That's his main thing of like why he struggles. So if it stays that way, then Kyle, you gotta be a little aggressive sometimes. You can't just 3 and out and then hope the defense wins it for you. Like, let's put up some touchdowns.
Yep.
And just to end on this, everyone can't stop talking about Jeff Saturday replacing Frank Wright as the coach. Is that the first that's the first coach fired this season, right?
No. First coach fired was Matt Rule.
Oh yeah, Matt Rule. Wow.
That was early on. That was the 49ers put an end to the Matt Rule era. Remember that?
Yeah. Okay, I remember that.
And then
now
they took Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah. Damn, push you down and steal your lunch money.
Yep.
But what do you think about this Jeff Saturday thing, man? Irsay is doubling, tripling down, quadrupling down, saying he's glad that Saturday has no experience. He's not going to listen to analytics.
It's like extremely wild. So, I mean, obviously, he was a great player. He was a 6-time Pro Bowler. He went to the Super Bowl 3 times. He, just played with high-level offenses. He knows what winning looks like, but it's different being a player than being the head coach. I think Field Yates even said this is the first head coach that is hired that has 0 experience in the NFL as a head coach or in the college level. He only has head coaching experience from the high school level. They're already running into roadblocks. None of the coaches on staff have ever called an offensive game before. And so they're going to try to figure out who's going to do the play calling this upcoming week. So they're already running into like, all right, well, I don't know. And I know like Jeff Saturday already went and said like, hey, I don't know if I'm going to be good at this job, but I can tell you like, I know what I'm talking about and I know football. And I don't doubt that he knows football, but there's just so much, like when you're the head coach of an NFL organization, you're basically a CEO for football. You know what I mean? You have to make sure not just one aspect of the game is running smoothly. All 3 aspects are going. And I think it's going to be just a huge struggle for him. I don't know why you would do this.
I don't know what Irsay's thinking. They said the play caller is going to be Parks Frazier, who, 30-year-old, 30-year-old young guy. Everyone, they're singing his praises, but as you would expect, they really hype up whoever they're going to choose. The proof will be on Sunday. And it's interesting because they play the Raiders. And if I'm kind of hoping the Raiders lose this game Just for
Dude.
the shitstorm that's gonna happen, like another guy that's on the hot seat, Josh McDaniels. I think he should be out too. But the Colts hiring Jeff Saturday, not just that. I could get over he doesn't have any experience. Like if this was the off season and they hired him and it's you're saying, oh well, he has no experience, but he's a leader, blah blah blah. I'm like, okay, cool. He has no experience, and it's midway through the season.
Yeah.
He's going in there like, how do I run a practice? Like, okay, what do you guys do? What do I want to do? Like,
Yeah.
it's so much to dump into 1 week and figure it out when you don't even have you don't even have a process of like, okay, this is my roadmap of like what I usually do, and then we'll like kind of get the best of what you guys do, and then we'll do what I do. Like he was coaching high school ball and they sucked. I think I seen they went like 3-7. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but yeah, like, what are you gonna be like? Okay, see, when I was telling this sophomore who was playing varsity, like, yeah, I'm trying to motivate you guys. What?
Yeah, like I just don't know. Usually the interim coach is already a coach on staff. He was an advisor, but it doesn't count. Like it's just weird that you go outside of the, you know what I mean? Usually you do your interim in-house. Like look at the Raiders last year. It actually worked out really nicely to have the special teams coach step up because they were saying like special team coach actually sits in the offense and the defensive meetings already. So they have an idea as far as what's going on and they could coach the special teams. So I figured like you could do that, but they went like a completely different way. I don't know what Ursay was thinking on this, but not a good move, bro. Not a good move. I'm
Or
just going to say it.
even to have like an very experienced coordinators on your team to where, okay, we'll bring someone in who just be the motivator and these guys will hold it down.
Yeah.
And they don't have that. Like no one knows what they're doing over there. And to like sit there and say like so cocky that, oh, this is gonna go, I know what I'm doing by doing this. Like the guys that you hired don't even know what they're doing. And even Jeff Saturday was questioning like, why am I here? Like, why am I a candidate?
Yeah.
So I saw some people kind of argue too of like, it doesn't matter if he has no experience. Like soccer teams do this, like basketball teams hire coaches that are former players and they don't have experience coaching, but those are so different. And
Yeah.
and soccer does in the midseason, like they will hire like a former player with like no experience and they'll come in and be the coach midseason. But that's so different. Like I don't know soccer that well, but to run a football team, like the level of detail, you can throw a bunch of very experienced and very good soccer players on the field and they can figure it out together.
Yeah.
You could throw 5 guys on a basketball court that have been playing this their whole life and they'll figure out some stuff. Like the plays don't really change. Yeah, you can add some wrinkles and you can add some like really cool plays from an experienced coach. But for basketball, like they know pick and roll, they know post
Yeah.
up, they know cut to the basket, like all that good stuff. And you're not hiring like a player that hasn't been a coach mid-season for NBA teams. Like it's in the off season
Yeah.
where they can
And
build their program.
nobody gives a shit about the regular season in either of those sports. You know what I mean?
Fair.
And it's like, okay, well, think about it. An NBA season is 82 games. So it's like, okay, well, I have time to figure it out. And by the time like playoffs roll around, we're clicking. NFL season ain't like that, bro. I think this is just a tank job. I think he's becoming a tank general. Let's just write it out. I think that's what it is. But no one wants to say that. So it is what it is.
This is like if you're a UFC fighter fighting in the main event, a 5-round fight.
God.
And in the second round, your coach steps out and you bring in just some random guy. A guy that he's watched all the Rocky movies, he watched Warrior, and he's coming in to coach you the rest of the way. He doesn't even matter of fact, he hasn't even watched UFC.
This is like bringing in Jeff Saturday to coach the UFC.
Yeah, this is like if Biden stepped down right now, Jeff Saturday ran the country. He's the leader of people,
Oh my
man.
goodness.
He's the leader of people. Is that
All right. On
is that
that
all we got
note,
for today?
yeah, I think we're done.
All right. See you guys.
Later.